Yeah. First, a little bio on myself. I'm known as the PC Guy because I have the personalized license plate, PC Guy. I'm the son of John Kreuzer back there here at Carondelet. I retired about 10 years ago from 3M after working 40 years at 3M in their information technology or IT area. I'm an officer and presenter for the 3M Personal Computing Club for over 48 years, and actually I gave this same presentation at 11:30 to 12:30 to the PC Club, so if I can reuse presentations, I reuse them from one to the other there. And at its peak, we had 1,200 members. And one of the stories I bring up that people ask is when we first started the club back about 50 some years ago, we had a gentleman from Microsoft giving Microsoft Word for DOS. Before Windows, there was DOS, and Word had just come out. Word Perfect was a package that controlled the market, and companies like 3M had and stuff like that. Microsoft was coming out to show us this new product, Word for DOS, and the presenter was Bill Gates. Bill Gates was in town, and he had heard of the club and had come out. So I've met Bill a total of 4 times there. I mentioned I'm thrifty, not cheap, so if there's a lower cost or free software or stuff like that, I'm all for that, but not cheap. I do provide one-on-one free tech help here at Carondelet, and usually it's the first and third Mondays of the month from 1 to 3 p.m., and you can sign up at the front counter. Also, Tom Strom is also providing help, and he usually does it the second and the fourth Wednesday from 2:30 to 4:30. And again, you can sign up at the front desk. Yep. Yes, it is. The mic is on. It's just not real loud there, and I can't. The closer I put it, it doesn't get any loud. Maybe It is. I did check it in the other room there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if it's at a lower level, but not quite. Maybe I'll try and hold it up a little bit. Okay. I usually give these learnabouts once a month. The next one will be in November 19th, and that'll be on buying tech equipment. So whether you're buying an iPad or looking at phones or stuff like that, there'll be some tips and some ways to check prices and things like that. The note here is I couldn't get the room from 2 to 3, so this meeting, November 19th, will be from 3 to 4 p.m. Also a plug with my sister and brother-in-law and my dad, we do a Fix-It Clinic here. Our next Fix-It Clinic will be November 24th. You'll be able to sign up at the front desk, so if you've got small appliances, lamps, electronics, anything that you think can be fixed, we have a 15-minute slot for most people, so we'll try and fix glue, solder, we work with rosaries, lamps, figurines, you name it, we usually get it. I mentioned the website here. So this website, there's an entry out on the website called Tech Help. And out there you'll find the calendar that'll list these different presentations and fix-its that I do there. Also, there's a resource page out there too. In this resource page, I'm recording this meeting, and I've recorded most of the presentations that I've done here, and the handouts. So both the recording of the presentation and the handouts are out there, so you can revisit a past presentation that you may have missed or just want to get a refresher. They're all out there. So from the last 3 years or so, they're all out there. There's also an FAQ, and you can ask a question out there also. A little moment of silence. Yesterday was the death of Windows 10. Windows 10 end of life officially ended yesterday, October 14th, 2025. Hopefully nobody in this room has a Windows machine running Windows 10. You should be on Windows 11. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is internet browsers and their differences, by myself, Tom Kreuzer. And the main players in this space for browsers are Google's Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Apple Safari, and Mozilla Firefox. But we'll also talk about some of the features and functions of some other browsers that are out there also. Before we talk about some of the differences, let's give a definition, because I run into a number of people who don't even know what a browser is. So a little definition: a web browser is a piece of software or an application that allows users to retrieve, present, and traverse information sources on the World Wide Web or out on the internet. It translates and displays web pages written in HTML and also processes other web formats like CSS and JavaScript. Popular examples include Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Safari, and Microsoft Edge. So it's a pretty important tool or piece of software that you have on all your devices, whether it's a phone, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a desktop, they all use a browser there. A browser, as I mentioned here, is one of the most important applications on any of these devices because it lets you display content from the internet. It's the main app or program used to access websites and their information. Although browsers and search engines are often used together, so you open a browser and then you do a Google search. Well, the Google search isn't part of Chrome. It's separate from Chrome, the browser. You can use a Google search in any browser on any device. So you can mix and match searches, search engines with browsers. We're not going to talk about search engines today. We're just going to talk about browsers, but people kind of get confused because they think, well, if I use Chrome, I have to use the Google search. No, you don't. If you want to use Microsoft, the Bing, their search, if you want to use Apple, if you want to use DuckDuckGo search, you can use any of these other searches with any browser. There's no limitations there. Every browser claims to be the best, but the fact is they're more alike than they are different. So, and we'll talk about some of those differences in terms of features and functions there. You want to pick the one that best fits your internet workflow, how you use your device, where you go out to and what you do. But even if one browser doesn't do everything that you need, you can fill the gaps, usually in the browser, through third-party extensions, adding additional software, or a second or even a third browser. So frequently, many people have at least two browsers on their phone, on their tablet, on their laptop that they use. Okay, this is from PC Magazine, and they do a pretty good job of evaluating, and they came up with their recommendations for the average PC user will be satisfied using the Microsoft Edge browser. If you're a power user, a programmer, or a really technical, people like that tend to prefer the Firefox browser. If you're cloud-oriented or an Android user, most of those prefer Google Chrome. If you're an Apple user, you have an iPhone or an iPad, Apple Safari comes standardly on all the devices, and a lot of people just use the Apple Safari browser. As I mentioned, many users have multiple browsers. They take advantage of the unique interfaces, the features, the performance, the privacy that each of these different browsers has. So you can mix and match stuff. The reviews next, and we'll talk about their pros and cons of these different browsers. I'll highlight the key elements of each of the browsers to help you decide which browser may be best for you. And then at the end, I'll do a little demo there. Before we get into each of the browsers, this is, I do an annual survey of the 3M Computing Club members, and I ask them, which browser do you use the most? So they can only pick one browser. Which browser do you use the most? And in this case, Chrome was picked by over half of the members of the club. Microsoft Edge was the next most popular. That had 18% of the members. Firefox 11, Safari 11, DuckDuckGo 7%, and then a couple of others had 2% there. This is a chart showing statistics from the World Wide Web, worldwide access to some of the sites. And so this is stats that they collected on what browser was used to go to various websites. And they found that Chrome was used 53% of the time, Safari was used 29% of the time, Edge was used 7%, the others was 7%, and Firefox was 4%. So just giving you a general idea of in the market, what's the market leader? Well, Chrome is the market leader, and then depending on what you're connecting to, it could be Microsoft Edge or Safari or that in there, but we'll talk about each of these. So the first one we'll talk about is Chrome. That's the market leader. This is what the icon looks like. It's this red, green, and yellow circle there. So if you've seen this circle on your phone or on your tablet or on your desktop, that's Google Chrome. Chrome is an integral part of Google's cloud syncing across multiple hardware platforms and the Google applications and services. So it's most popular because it has so many services and stuff like that. Now we'll talk about some of the pros, some of the things that Chrome is very, very good at, and then we'll talk about the cons there that it's not so good at. So the pros is it's the most used, and because it's the most used, it's the most compatible with sites. So let's say you're going out to your bank. Your bank is going to support the Chrome browser. It may not support the Safari browser, or you may not have all the features and functions if you're using a Safari browser. For compatibility, Chrome is the industry standard there. Chrome also has a number of extensions that can be added to Chrome. In fact, the Chrome has over 180,000 extensions. These extensions are features and functions and code that can be added. So even to play games, to show weather, to show different things that pop up, to do drawing, to do artificial intelligence. There's all kinds of extensions out there that are available. Most of them are free of charge, and so there's literally everything under the sun. Okay, the third bullet here, the pro of Chrome. It runs on Windows, it runs on the Mac OS, it runs on Linux, it runs on Android, it runs on iOS, the iPhones and that. So this is the one of the few browsers that runs on every device that you have and every operating system that you have. And that's important if you want to share bookmarks or share tabs and files that you open. Having it available having the same thing available on all your devices can be very important there. So that's a nice feature there. It can also sync the tabs, the bookmarks, the browsing history, and passwords across all the devices there. It offers the best compatibility with Google's range of products and services like Google Docs or Google Drive if you use the cloud storage for photos or for documents and things like that. Usually you'll want to use Google Chrome there. Also, Google has a thing called Google Lens for searching for images on the web, and that's using artificial intelligence to pull up matches, and in the demo I'll show a little bit there. There's also other AI-powered tools to help you organize the tabs and to read the page and do other things. It's also got a lot of built-in safety and security. Some of the cons, it's not as quick to get new features as some of the other browsers. Because it's been around so long and because it's so widely used, it's not usually the first browser to get the most advanced features. It has no built-in VPN. It has no built-in cryptocurrency locker. It has no built-in notes feature, whereas some of the other browsers do, or screenshot tool. This reading mode, actually they just recently added a reading mode, and if I have time I'll demo that a little bit. Another con is it has ad topics, site-suggested ads, and others that send info about you up to Google there. So if you're concerned about security, you have to go in and turn things off. But you can turn things off if you don't want to share that information with Google or anybody else. Another con is it uses more CPU and RAM in the computer than some of the other browsers because it has all these tools and because it has all these features in there. Okay, next let's talk about Microsoft Edge. So this is what the icon for Edge looks like, the wave here. Edge is a relatively new browser. It was created in 2015 for Windows 10, and it replaced the old Microsoft browser called Internet Explorer, or IE. So they completely rewrote it because Internet Explorer was getting trounced by Google in terms of people using the Google browser. They wanted to compete with Google, and so this is what they created. The pros of Microsoft Edge is actually the code base for Microsoft Edge is the same code base as Google Chrome. So it starts out with the same basics on how to display the pages and how the pages react to different text sizes and font sizes and tables and all kinds of things like that. It's using the same code base as Chrome. Microsoft Edge is available on Windows, the Mac OS, Android, and iOS. The platform that it's not available on is Linux, and I would guess none of you are running Linux, so that's not a big deal, but there are some tech people and stuff like that that do use Linux there. Another pro is it's best on disk usage, performance, and thrifty memory management. It offers the best compatibility with Microsoft's range of products and service like Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. If you're using those off of the web, you're best to use the Microsoft Edge browser when you're using those. And the Microsoft Cloud, which is called OneDrive, it's best to use that browser when working with OneDrive. Microsoft also has some AI type components. They usually preference theirs with Copilot. So there's a Copilot AI that'll summarize a web page for you. It'll create an image or an essay based on a text prompt, and it'll find more information for you. And all of these are free services built into the browser using the AI that Microsoft uses. You also have Copilot Vision for shared tabs to discuss both the visuals and text aloud. Has a sidebar for messaging, productivity, search, and social networking with third-party tools. It also has a collections that uses a sidebar which you can add images, notes, and web pages, and then share the whole assemblage to Excel, OneNote, and Word. Some of the cons of Microsoft Edge, people will say it's cluttered, it has too many tools, too hard to find. It collects browsing history and favorites. It has limited extension library compared to Google Chrome and Mozilla Firefox. Okay, next let's talk about Safari, and this is what the icon for Safari looks like, the compass. Safari is Apple's default web browser, comes with every iPhone and every Mac and every iPad. It's good, but not great, and it does have some non-standard elements built into the browser, because Apple tends to want to do things their way and not necessarily follow some of the industry standards. So that can get it in trouble because Safari may not work with all the companies, the websites that you go out to, or all the web services that you may want to use. So some of the pros, it only runs on a Mac OS and on an iOS, an Apple iPhone or iPad there. Does not work on Windows, does not work on Linux, does not work on Android, doesn't work on any of the other platforms. Microsoft about 5 years ago or 7 years ago attempted to create a version of Safari to run on Windows. It was a major flop, and they got out of the market and no longer support it or keep it up to date there. It does offer the best compatibility with Apple's ecosystem, and by that I mean if you're using the Apple iCloud and using some of the Apple capabilities, artificial intelligence up on their servers, that's the browser that you do want to use there. It does have an AI feature, AI reading, that'll summarize, does tables of contents for long articles, highlights, summarizes business web pages with contact hours, info, and a small map. It's the only one here that disables third-party cookies by default. And that gets into a security and a privacy type of thing. But that's kind of a double-edged sword. The other browsers will let you turn off third-party cookies, but turning off third-party cookies in some cases means that you can't use certain websites because they require the third-party cookies. So you have to be turning it on and off depending on where you're going, or use multiple browsers, and this browser I'll accept them and this one I won't accept them. So it can get a little complex there. For iCloud Plus subscribers, it enables private relay to obscure your IP address, and so that's a function that's similar to VPN, and we won't go into detail of what that is, but if you know what VPN is, it gives you a little bit of privacy, but not a whole lot there. Some of the cons, it's only available on Apple devices. So I happen to have a Windows laptop and Windows desktop and an Android phone, but I have an iPad. Well, if I attempted to put all my bookmarks and everything in Safari, I couldn't have access to those bookmarks on my Windows machine and on my Android phone and on my other, because it's not sharing it. I can't have Safari on these other devices. Another con is it has limited customization. Safari, of the major browsers, has the least customization and features in it. It has limited data synchronization. It has fewer add-ons and extensions available. Some sites, as I mentioned, will have problems if you use Safari. Sites frequently don't test with Safari, and instead, let's say your bank, if it's US Bank will say, don't use Safari, use Chrome. They'll flat out come out and say some of that because the way Apple restricts some of the things and some of the features aren't in there, it doesn't, US Bank or some of the sites will not function correctly on the Apple Safari browser. Fingerprinting, by which web trackers identify you, is only partially protected in the Apple browser. Often useful features are often hidden from users, so most users don't know what options in Safari are available on that. Okay, the next browser we'll talk about is Mozilla Firefox. This is what the icon looks like. Firefox is an open source project from the nonprofit Mozilla Foundation. So what that means is there's developers from around the world that don't get paid, but they create new features and functions for Firefox. They maintain the code base and do the things in there. The first pro is it's the only major browser that's not from a giant tech company. So the previous browsers that we talked about, where'd they come from? Well, Chrome is from Google. The Edge is from Microsoft. Safari is from Apple. So those are all three giant corporations. This is the only major browser that isn't from one of those giant corporations there. Firefox runs on Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, and iOS. So basically on almost any device, any operating system. It's mostly openly developed. It's the most openly developed browser. So that makes it usually more secure, and it's not collecting data and selling it to other third parties because it's a nonprofit. It doesn't operate like a Google or a Microsoft or an Apple there. And just to give you a little background, when I mention these large companies, you have like Apple. Apple has a deal with Google. Apple has a deal with Google to, by default, set up the Google search as the default search within browsers, both their Safari browser and their any other browser that you set up to use the search. The reason Apple does that is Apple gets paid $20 billion a year from Google, and that's one of their largest sources of income for really not doing anything other than promoting the use of the Google search on their platforms. So that's why these big companies can make so much money and have deals with each other and things like that. The Firefox is the most customizable of all the browsers. It has a PDF editing and a Firefox view button. Cons, it's mostly used by developers and tech people. It's slower than some of the other browsers. Over the years, it's put on a few pounds because it's relatively old there. Sometimes the increased file size and memory requirements result in a sluggish, less stable environment for that. So most developers or tech people may have faster CPUs or faster computers, so it's not so much of an issue, but if you have a basic or a lower end computer, it can be slower than the other browsers. Yeah?
It seems like if it's OpenAI and other people are developing it sort of nonprofit, it seems like it wouldn't be very secure from code being put into the software.
Yeah, the question was, because it's openly developed, wouldn't it be less secure, or somebody putting in malicious code? The fact that the code is available for anyone in the world to look at means that it's being vetted and tested, and so it's actually safer than anything else that's out there, just because Microsoft isn't going to let you know what code they put in. A code that they put in to, let's say, track or what sites you went to or things like that. Here in Firefox, that there you have essentially 1 million programmers around the world, because they can look at the source code of exactly what happens when the page opens and what happens here. They can tell exactly what it's doing. So it's actually less vulnerable to viruses or anything there because of the fact that it's open source.
Okay, and so then one more. So it has PDF editing, which is confusing to me how a browser, because like Chrome doesn't edit anything, I don't think. We can't have a, how does the browser allow to have PDF editing?
Yeah, the question, I'll repeat it for the people online in the recording, is how can it have PDF editing, because that's really not a function of a browser. Well, all of these browsers add in all of these other features and functions, extensions, AI, things like that, and they put in functions that they have heard from people that find it useful. So this is one that they chose to put in there. Actually, I had this same question about the PDF editing when I gave it to the 3M Club a little bit earlier, and they were saying, well, that sounds pretty good. And I said, well, there's 1,000 different ways to edit a PDF. If you have Microsoft Word, open up Microsoft Word, open up a PDF file, I can make a change and I can save it as a PDF file. That's the easiest way to edit. I can change anything in there, I can do anything in there. So there's all these other tools and all these other ways, and some people see this bullet and think, well, that really sets it apart from the others, and technically there's all these hundreds, if not thousands, of different ways to edit a PDF there. Okay, we'll continue on. So that's the main browsers. There's lots of others. There's thousands of other browsers out there. And so this is a list of some of the more popular browsers that you may have heard of that have less than 1% of the market share there. Brave is a browser. It has integrated ad blocker, advanced tracking, and optimized for speed. DuckDuckGo, not only is it a search site that you can go out to, but again, they have their own browser. It's minimalistic design, non-tracking policy, and streamlined for browsing. Opera, data saver, has VPN options, feature rich. Thor, best browser for privacy, but also has a poor reputation because it's associated with the dark web. If you were to go out to the dark web and do things, you can't use a Chrome browser to go out to the dark web. You have to use a browser like Thor. And so if you're a criminal or nefarious and doing things out on the dark web, you definitely use Thor there. The body, lots of control over the look and layout, plus unique tab management, customization. Okay, some tips in general on browsers. Both the Chrome browser and the Microsoft browser have the ability to even make yourself more private and more secure. Chrome has what's called an incognito mode. Microsoft has an in-private browsing mode that can be turned on. This keeps your browsing session private by not saving your browsing history, the cookies, or site data. It does not make you invisible on the internet. Your internet service provider, employer, or school, and the websites that you visit can still see your activity, but it is useful for browsing without others seeing your history. So let's say you were if you didn't have a computer and you were down in the library downstairs on first floor and you were using a computer in there, you could turn on the incognito mode and it's not going to leave your history or your cookies or site data out there. So that can be handy. Adding extensions, I mentioned extensions is adding additional features in that, which is good, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because it can improve your user experience, but if the code that you're adding in these extensions may be slowing down your browser and causing other problems. So I use extensions myself. I use ad blocker to block a number of the ads. It doesn't block everything, but it cuts down on those. I've mentioned before, I recommend a password manager. I use Bitwarden. Bitwarden has an extension that interfaces with the browser to automatically fill in accounts and passwords and credit card information and all this stuff automatically. If you're using AI tools, that's usually where you add in these additional AI tools. And I mentioned here that like Chrome has 180,000 of these extensions. So there's something for everybody out there. And this, I list a couple of sites that do comparisons of browsers. If you want a little more detail there, it's listed on there and it's listed on the handout there. So what do you use? Well, they're all free. None of them do you have to pay anything for. So you can try them all, experiment, try them, see which works best for you and on which device, especially if you have multiple devices, see what you want to share and what how you want it to work there. This is from that first slide. Again, the average PC user will be satisfied with the Edge. Power users, Firefox. Google Chrome works great for cloud or Android user. Apple Safari for Apple. But most people do have at least two, and sometimes three different browsers that they use. So you can take advantage of the features and functions. Okay, let's do a little demo here. So let me do this. First, what I'm going to do is, actually I was in the browser, but I'm going to start up my Chrome. Here it is down on my Windows taskbar, so I'll click on it. I have mine set up a little bit different because I have multiple accounts where I want to go in when I'm doing work for the 3M PC Club, or I want to go in and do work as myself. Usually you guys would just have your single account and it would just automatically start up like this. Now when my Chrome starts up, a couple of things are going on. I have it open up, in this case, these four different windows automatically for me. And so you can set up, I have my Gmail open, I have my Google Drive open, I have, that I don't need there, but I have a Google search. On my other computer, I have my calendar come up, and I have another website that I frequent. So this just saves me having to manually start things up each time I start up the browser and want to do things. So any of these browsers allow you to start multiple windows and set it up exactly the way that you want it there. I also have, let's see, where might this go here? Let me go up here. So this is bookmarks, and bookmarks are websites or services that I use. So I have all these different categories here. These are folders, and within these folders, I have all kinds of, so when I want to do a search, what kind of search do I want to do? Do I want to do a map quest? Do I want to search for movies? Am I searching for people? Excuse me, I got a little tickle there. Zillow. So I have a number of searches that I use there, and so I have deals. These are companies that I deal with. Dining. Here's places that I eat. I have all that available from one or two clicks. I can easily get to everything. All my different bookmarks. Finance, health, medical. You can have as many categories and as many links as you want in any browser. This is the Chrome browser, but again, it could be any browser there that you have. And bookmarks are make it very useful. And unfortunately, I don't see people utilizing the power of the bookmarks. When I do these bookmarks, I'm adding stuff, and every time I add or delete, or I can change the order of the items there, it's changed on all my devices. So on my phone and on my iPad and on my desktop, all of them, I see this same menu there. And so anything that's changed is readily available there. And if you're not familiar with Chrome or that, or the Edge, you just click on the plus to open up a new tab, and I have a new tab. And what the new tab opens up to, that's a setting within the browser. I have it start up Google search every time I open up a new tab, but you could have it do anything, not go to any web page. Or if there's a particular web page that you wanted, you could have it go out there. So let's say I went out to here, let's go to the 3M Club website. So we have a website out there. And let's say I was going out looking at some of the past meetings and their recordings. So these are past meetings and recordings I have out there. And let's say I was looking at things and got done with this and I accidentally closed it. Well, I could go back and redo what I did, or I can just right mouse click on here. You'll see there's a bunch of options here. Reopen the last closed tab. Bang, I'm right back where I was. So these are some of the features and functions that you have with some of this. I can pin an item to up here. I can move these around. Let's say I size the window here. I can take a window here. I can move it to a separate window by itself. So a browser allows me to manipulate this any way that I want. I can be working with this. And that's the power that you have. And if I'm done working with it as a separate window, it's a case of I can pop it back into this window. So you can manipulate it. And you can name them, I can group them together, I can open them all up as a group, I can close them all as a group, so there's lots of things to do there. Individually on a tab, I can right mouse click on it, and I have a number of options here that, let's say I wanted to take this site or that, I can send it to one of my other devices. And here I can send it to my phone, to my iPad. I can send it to other devices literally with one click. I don't have to write down the site. I don't have to create a text message. I don't have to create an email. I don't have to do any of that to share it there. So you have lots of power with doing these things there. Okay, let's see here. Let's go into, let me go here. Let's go to eBytes. Let's go here. So here I'm on a web page. This web page is just some text with links and things like that. And it's a case of once I'm here, you can see some of the different functions that I can do here. I can search with Google Lens. I can open up meetings. I can create a QR code. I can translate it. So there's all kinds of options that I have in dealing with this. I can also go up to the three dots up here, and I can go up here and you see all these options that I have here, whether it's opening it up in reading mode or opening up Gemini, the AI here to analyze the page. So I can do this, and I can ask it. I can highlight certain things. So there you can see the AI is coming up, and it's asking me what I want to do with this particular page. So there's all kinds of options that you can do with it. Let's see. The other thing is, let's say I was in here and I'm interested in Gemini and Chrome. I want some more information on that, and I want to do a search. And I can just highlight the text here, and where did my mouse go? When I highlight the text here, it's a case of I can search, do a Google search for the stuff, or let's go back here. Let me go back and highlight that once more. Google Chrome and do this. I can search. It'll open up a separate search window using that text. I didn't have to retype the text, didn't have to do anything. So I can navigate around and search for things and do things there. Let's see, let's go back here. Let me go. I'm going to go back to the computer and let's go to meetings. So let's go here. I'm going to bring up a site that has some images. So this is, we had a celebration of the PC Club at Green Mill about a month ago. And at this celebration, we have door prizes. And here's an example of some of the door prizes there. Well, I can use the tools that I have. I'm on a page, can be any website, any page, anywhere. And all I have to do is I can click on this and I can do search with Google Lens. And let's go here. I can say, I don't know what this box is. I'm interested in what this box is here. So let me highlight that area. The AI pops up here. The AI goes out here. And it says that box is for a Roku Express HD streaming media player. So Google Lens looked at that. You can be on, and again, you could be on any page in the entire World Wide Web, and I can start searching for items just by one or two clicks. I can copy it. I can get information. This Google Lens here is showing me stuff. It's showing, well, this item is available on eBay for $20. It's available here. So it's showing you where it's available. I can click on any of those. I can go out to eBay. So if I do this, I can open up eBay, and here's the Roku device there. So you can use this capability that, again, are built into the browsers. You don't have this capability in every one of the browsers. That's why you choose to use a Chrome or an Edge or that, because of the features and functions that are built in there. Let's see. Let's go back here. And so I can close Lens here. I can go back. What you have in your browser is, if I click on the three dots up here in Chrome, this gets me a menu, and you can see there's all kinds of options in here for doing things there, opening Gemini, translating it. It'll actually read the entire page to me in English there, so I can have it read. I can also go into the settings, and settings this is settings for Google Chrome. There's over 100 and maybe 200 settings in here, and that's that customization. You can have it appear any way that you want. You can have it do just about anything that you want there. Privacy, you can set your privacy, and that's where it'll guide you through what to set and how to set it. You can change the appearance, and it's a case of if you want stuff, your bookmark bar in a different place or things like that, you can do that. You can set the page zoom, so your eyesight isn't as good as it used to be. I can say, make it 200%. Now all the pages that I go to are 200%. One second here, sorry about that. So I can change the looks there, and so if you are having trouble reading or stuff like that, you can just change the percentage and work with the settings there. And let's change it back. I don't want it too big, but you can make it bigger, smaller, whatever you need there. Let's see, did I cover most of the stuff there? Yeah, that probably covers most of it. So let's go back. Okay, I think that was technically the end. So are there any questions or comments on browsers? Yes.
Browsers have manuals that explain all this. It's about like information.
Yeah, the question, I'll repeat it for the people online, or that, do the browsers have manuals? It's kind of similar to if you buy a TV or you buy a phone, you don't get a manual. There isn't a manual. Now, there is a help. So if you go up here to the three dots up here, you'll see there's a help. And it's not expected that you'd sit down and go through everything in the help. The way that you can use help is if there's a particular feature or function that you're looking for. How do I do this, or how do I do that? You can look in here, or you can even do a Google search, and you'll find what to do, or if there's an extension that does the things that you want to do, you'll see those things in there. But by all means, I tell people, when you're using a browser, if there's anything that you're doing over and over and over again, you want to simplify it. You want to make it easier on yourself. So do a search, look in the help, look for ways to do it faster, better, easier there. So if you've never set up bookmarks before, go to the help and look up bookmarks. And you'll see, you're not going to start out with 100 of them right away, but maybe you've got 4 or 5 sites that you go to, and so set those up. And in media, I have most of the TV stations or radio stations or things like that. Instead of me having to write things down or each time doing a Google search to find a website that does something, if I find a website that works good for looking up somebody's telephone number, I add it to a bookmark. If I go out to a restaurant and look at a menu, chances are I'm going to go there again, so I'll bookmark that restaurant and make it easy. If you fly on an airplane, you probably are dealing with Delta and maybe Sun Country and various places. You want to bookmark those to make it easy, so with one click you can easily get to those places and check things. My sister's flying, and I'm going to be picking them up at the airport when they come back. Well, I have one click to get me to checking on the status of their flight. And when I check on the status of the flight, it shows me exactly where the plane is and in the air, and it tells me when it is landed on the ground, and it's taxiing to the gate, and so I know all that. And the internet has this treasure trove of information out there. You just have to go to the right place, and if you find something that is useful, bookmark it and save it so that you can go out there in the future, for the next flight or the next thing that you do. Okay? But yeah, I wouldn't recommend anyone go in here and say, okay, I'm going to go to the help here, and let's go to here, and now it's going through an update actually here. I wouldn't recommend opening it up and going page by page, because there's probably 1,000 pages of stuff. You going to go through. But if you're not familiar with, let's say, bookmarks or how to delete your history and look at security, you can go to any of these topics. Deleting your browsing data. Well, here's how you delete, and this has a link to stuff, and this tells you where to go in the menu and how to do things. And so if you're interested in doing something, the information is out there, but you're not going to read it from starting at page 1 to page 1,000 there. Okay? Other questions, comments? And the browsers, like I say, are they're probably the most powerful piece of software that you have on your computer, because that's the way you can get to anything out on the internet. So yes, on your phone you may have a US Bank app and certainly use that, but if you didn't have that app or needed there, it's a case of can you get to it by going to the website here within a browser? Yes. Almost every company in the world has a website, and especially if you're dealing with Social Security or even 3M, or not 3M, the Minnesota License Bureau there, checking on their hours, checking on if you're, when I went through the Real ID, well, you bookmark some of the sites because you're going to have to go back out there, you're going to have to collect documents, send it in, and you can do all this stuff within your browser, and you can make it easy to organize and to use the stuff there. Any other question or comment there? And so in general, you know, again, if you have all Apple products, certainly Safari is probably your go-to browser, but you should have a Chrome or an Edge as a secondary browser for those sites that don't work, or if you do want to share bookmarks and share some of the information there. So when I'm on a site and doing stuff, it's a case of I can add stuff to my reading list. When I add stuff to my reading list, it's a case of here you'll see bookmarks and lists. Here's a reading list. I can bring up, I can add this current tab to my reading list. Now it's added to my reading list. So let's say I was doing something and I don't have time to read this page, but I want to go back to it. Maybe a week from now, maybe a day from now, maybe a month from now. Now it's in my reading list. At any time, I can go up here from any of my devices. I can go here to into my bookmarks here, go back to my reading list, and show me my reading list. And here's my reading list. So it's like putting little tabs or Post-it notes or whatever for these different sites. I didn't have time to read, but I can easily get back to it. So when I want to get back to it, in this case, boom, I'm right back to that site, right in there. So instead of writing it down or printing out a page and then planning on reading that page later on or something like that, use the power of the browser, use the capabilities that are in there. And there are hundreds and hundreds of features just like this in here to help you to make your life easier there for what you're dealing with there. Okay. Any other questions or comments there? And play around with the stuff. You know, click on right mouse click or that on here. See what these options are. If you don't know what pin does, try it. If you don't know what duplicate does, try it. So duplicate, well, what does duplicate do? I'm over a tab. I'm currently on this past meetings. All it does is duplicate a tab there at the same website. Now, if I want to do something here, but still keep this here, I can do that. So there's all these features and functions to make your life easier and so that you don't have to write things down, so that you can keep track of everything and yet shared across these different devices, and just make it easier for everything there. Okay? Okay, well, thanks for coming, and let me know if you have any other questions or that, but certainly give the different browsers a try and check out their settings. I highly recommend, if you've never been in the settings, go into the settings, because you'll see that you have control over a number of ways it looks and the way it operates, and give them a try and see, do you like this? Do you not like this? How do you want it to work, and what do you want it to do? Okay? Okay, well, thanks for coming. You're welcome.